Today is January 29th, 2017. This is Matthew Brenner. On Friday, the so-called Muslim ban executive order was signed by Donald Trump, and the liberals are up in arms. I will let Stefan Molyneux of Free Domain Radio explain.
Just one more nail in the coffin of the final rights of leftist credibility for reasons I will get into right about now. So, there was an executive order put out. Now, everyone's saying, Muslim ban! Not true. Not true. Not even true. And if you're out there, let me tell you something. If you're out there tweeting about this or twittering about this or chanting about this or Facebooking about this, Muslim ban, you are part of the spark of the fire that is trying to burn down the world, and I'm trying to stop it. But you don't make it any easier when you put out provocative nonsense like that. It is not a Muslim ban, for reasons we'll get into in just a moment. So in the actual text of the executive order signed by Donald Trump, what you will not notice, which is actually quite interesting and should be kind of a tell that you might be being trolled by a master troller, is that the order doesn't actually specify any of the countries to be included in the visa suspension. The countries are, in fact, Iraq, Iran, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, Syria, and Yemen. Why? It seems odd. Well, you see, President Trump, yes, still not old, President Trump is not suspending visas from the countries that he has selected, countries that he picked or his team picked or anything like that. No. See, this is the funny thing. President Trump is suspending visa approval from countries that were selected by one President Barack Hussein Obama. Isn't that interesting? Countries selected as security risks by President Barack Obama. Now, Trump is suspending all of the visa applications from these countries selected by Barack Obama. Nothing to do with Muslim. It's not like a Muslim ban. It's just if you're from these countries, visas have been suspended. So, not Muslim, and he didn't even choose the countries. Bit of a history to this. In 2013, President Barack Obama suspended refugees from Iraq for 6 months due to significant security concerns. Now, in 2015, Congress passed a law restricting visas from what were called states of concerns, right? So countries where there was significant concerns regarding potential for terrorist infiltration through immigration, through refugee programs, and so on, I assume. So this is 2015. Congress passed this law restricting visas from states of concern, and Obama signed this law. In 2016, the Department of Homeland Security, this is under Jay Johnson, expanded these restrictions. Now, 2016, last year, Obama was still the president. He's in charge. You understand? He's in charge. So what has President Trump been up to? Well, he's taking the same action that Obama took in 2013, suspending visas, and he's applying these visa restrictions to the countries that Obama selected as risky governments, risky states. He's taking the same action Obama took in 2013 regarding Iran, applying visa restrictions to the countries Obama selected in 2015 and 2016. Does that reframe it a little bit for you, just in terms of reality?
Oh, but it gets even worse. This ad from rescue.org popped up with this mean old grizzly bear looking Donald Trump, looking like he wants to commit a microaggression, popped up, and they want me to donate to their website. I'm sure it's probably a scam to milk liberals, but I might give anyway. It makes me want to go out and hug a Muslim. Don't you just want to hug a Muslim? In fact, here's some Muslims I think we should all go and hug right now. We should bring them into the country immediately. We should bring them onto Venice Beach so we can all share a bunch of hugs and sing Kumbaya. Stefan?
Now, another thing he said was, hey, Christians get priority over Muslims when it comes to this kind of stuff, particularly, I assume, refugees and so on. Christians are, the most persecuted group in the Middle East for sure, maybe even the world. Yeah, Christians not having a fun time over there, and so he's giving priority to Christians over Muslims. If I remember rightly, there are a few Muslim countries that seem to give priority to Muslims over Christians. Maybe I'm just misremembering that. But yeah, shockingly, a Christian country may be giving some preference to Christians over Muslims. So those are just the facts. He said he was going to do it. It's actually less than he said he was going to do. Of course, we'll see what goes from. And it's temporary. And it's for 7 countries from a list developed by Barack Obama. A law passed by Congress, signed by Obama. Just what Obama did in the past. But see, it didn't matter then, right? For you guys on the left. It didn't matter when Obama did it. It didn't matter when Obama developed this list of 7 countries. It didn't matter when he signed the law. It doesn't matter. Because he's your team, right? He's your team. He's not the Republicans. So if your team does it, it's gold, baby. But if the Republicans do it, it's stone satanic evil. Do you have the capacity to look in the mirror and see yourself for what you've become? Base echo chamber zombies of in-group preference from hell.
Liberals, I hate to tell you this, but you're freaking toast. Come on, Stefan, keep on going, baby.
The Middle East is a mess, and the Middle East is a mess to some degree because it's the Middle East, and to another degree because Western governments have been meddling in the region. Now, part of the reason why Western governments have been meddling in the region is because Western governments and Western technology and Western demand created a massive oil industry, which then Middle Eastern governments, a lot of them, stole from the West. And therefore, there have been some involvement. That's a very, very quick picture of a very, very complex topic. But countries in the Middle East have been horrendously, brutally destabilized, invaded, overrun. Enemies have been funded. Civil wars have been fomented under both Republicans and Democrats. George Bush invaded 2 countries. And President Barack Obama, over the course of his 8 years, innumerable drone strikes that hit a lot of unspecified targets, also known as people you love and care about. But Obama, after, I guess, receiving the Peace Prize, proceeded to drop 100,000 bombs in 7 countries, mostly Muslim, largely in the Middle East. See, that's a lot of bombing. Where was the anti-war movement then? Oh, that's right. See, he's on your team. So when he bombs 7 Muslim countries, it's fine. When Bush, terrible, and the invasion was terrible. The invasions were terrible. Wrong. Where were you people on the left? Why weren't you after Obama and Lynch and Holder to hold the people accountable from the Republican administration under Bush and Rumsfeld and Cheney for what they did? A war crime? I would love to have found that out. Why weren't you after him? Because he's your team. So having used your anti-war bona fides to oppose the Republican warmongers when the Republicans were gone and your guy was in, boop, all gone. All gone. He can bomb the shit out of everyone. We don't care because he's our guy. He's on our team. Yay. There's a mess in the Middle East. The countries are destabilized. Obama and Hillary Clinton, as President and Secretary of State, had a significant role in lots of messes, not just selling massive amounts of weaponry to Saudi Arabia, which have used it locally to spectacularly gory effect, but also working to help destabilize and overturn and overthrow and destroy 2 countries that figure quite predominantly in this latest migration crisis. That would be Syria and Libya. Funding ISIS and Al-Qaeda and their affiliates in order to overturn legitimate governments. Not great, guys. Not great at all. Not great at all. But you people on the left, Now you love Muslims. Where was your love when Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama were bombing and undoing and destroying those countries? No, it's your team, right? When this destabilization is occurring, I want you to zoom right out, like lunar distance from this. What's happening to the people in the Middle East is unconscionable, ungodly, unholy, horrendous. Why are they all coming to the West? I'm sure you've seen pictures of these 3 million person tent cities in Saudi Arabia. Lots of land, not wildly overpopulated. It's not Manhattan wall to wall in the desert. Why all coming to the West? Some of this stuff is civil wars. Some of these are internecine warfare, Shia and Sunni. Why? I don't remember Saudi Arabia giving Europeans a lot of sanctuary during World War II. Why? Because if we want to help these people out in the Middle East, I think that's actually a pretty good thing to do. It's not their fault that their region got destabilized by internecine conflicts and Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama and the British and. Let's help them. But here's the thing. You can create safe zones in the region, and you can help many, many times more people by relocating them in the Middle East and bringing them to the West. You understand? Many, many, many more times the people. It's not about helping people. It's about looking good and feeling good and virtue signaling and bringing in people who are going to vote for the left. You can help more than a dozen people in the Middle East for every one person you bring to America. If you really want to help them where they live. Don't bring them to Minnesota. A little bit of a climate shock, culture shock.
As we all know, CNN lies. But what the hell? Even a broken wristwatch is right twice a day. Jake Tapper interviewed Tulsi Gabbard, which we are going to get to, about Syria and the so-called moderate rebels, ISIS, brought to you by the USA, and John McCain and his girlfriend, Lindsey Graham, who believe in funding jihadists. But Tulsi Gabbard, the exceptional Democrat, had some interesting things to say. Let's listen.
So, Congressman Adam Kinzinger, a friend of yours, also a military veteran, a Republican, he said on Twitter when he heard about your visit, quote, fact-finding mission, fact, 50,000 plus dead children in Syria. Tulsi Gabbard, I hope you didn't meet with their butcher, Assad. Now, Assad has used chemical weapons on his own people. You said it's going to be up to the Syrian people, but there really aren't free and fair elections in Syria.
I'll tell you what I heard from the Syrian people that I met with, Jake, walking down the streets in Aleppo, in Damascus, hearing from them. They expressed happiness and joy at seeing an American walking through their streets, but they expressed a question. They said, why is it that the United States, its allies and other countries are providing support, are providing arms to terrorist groups like al-Nusra, al-Qaeda, Arar al-Sham, ISIS, who are on the ground there raping, kidnapping, torturing, and killing the Syrian people, children, men, women, people of all ages. They asked me, why is the United States and its allies supporting these terrorist groups who are destroying Syria when it was al-Qaeda who attacked the United States on 9/11, not Syria? I didn't have an answer for them.
Obviously, the United States government denies providing any sort of help to the terrorist groups that you're talking about. They say they provide help for the rebel groups. Tell us more about...
The reality is, Jake, the reality is, and I'm glad you brought up that point, because this is an often talked about thing by people like Adam Kinzinger and others saying, well, we've got to support the moderate rebels. Every place that I went, every person that I spoke to, I asked this question to them. And without hesitation, they said, there are no moderate rebels. Who are these moderate rebels that people keep speaking of? Regardless of the name of these groups, the strongest fighting force on the ground in Syria is al-Nusra or al-Qaeda and ISIS. That is a fact. There's a number of different other groups. All of them essentially are fighting alongside, with, or under the command of the strongest group on the ground that's trying to overthrow Assad. The Syrian people recognize, and they know, that if President Assad is overthrown, then Al-Qaeda, or a group like Al-Qaeda that has been killing Christians, killing people simply because of their religion or because they won't support their terror activities, they will take charge of all of Syria. This is the reality that the people of Syria are facing on the ground, and why they are pleading with us here in the United States to stop supporting these terrorist groups. Let the Syrian people themselves determine their future, not the United States, not some foreign country.
What I truly respect about Tulsi Gabbard is she's not all talk. She's actually introduced legislation to stop funding terrorism.
Mr. Speaker, under U.S. law, it is illegal for you or me or any American to provide any type of assistance to Al-Qaeda, ISIS, or other terrorist groups. If we broke this law, we'd be thrown in jail. Yet the U.S. government's been violating this law for years, directly and indirectly supporting allies and partners of groups like Al-Qaeda and ISIS, with money, weapons, intelligence, and other support in their fight to overthrow the Syrian government. A recent New York Times article confirmed that rebel groups supported by the U.S., quote, have entered into battlefield alliances with the affiliate of Al-Qaeda in Syria, formerly known as al-Nusra. The Wall Street Journal reports that rebel groups are, quote, doubling down on their alliance with Al-Qaeda. This alliance has rendered the phrase moderate rebels meaningless. We must stop this madness. We must stop arming terrorists. I'm introducing the Stop Arming Terrorists Act today to prohibit taxpayer dollars from being used to support terrorists. Mr. Speaker, I yield back.
In my humble opinion, Donald Trump needs to sign that legislation to stop funding terrorists with taxpayer money immediately when it passes. Subscribe to my channel, like and share this video, comment. This is Matthew Brenner.